If you're a Samsung fan and you've been taking a look at the DU series like the 6900, the 7200, or even the DU 8000, you might want to hold off for a minute because today we're going to take a look at this TV right here. This is the Samsung Q60D. Now, why should you consider this over the other models? Well, first of all, this one has quantum dot technology, and with the dual backlight, it's going to give you better color reproduction, and I've showed you that in previous videos. Before I get into this review, just keep in mind I've already did an unboxing and gaming video, so you can go check that out so you can see the full experience. And I did a calibration video as well on this 55-inch model that I have here today. Now, speaking of sizes, this TV is available from a 32-inch all the way up to 85-inch and everything in between. And I like the fact that you can use it as your morning television, or you can use it in your living room as a movie television. But I will say that this TV is not perfect. The Q60D is a very thin television, and they call it Air Slim design. And you can even get a slim wall mount to make it really flush to the wall. And I like the fact that it has very thin bezels on it. The feet on this TV is very traditional, and you can raise the television up and down to put a soundbar right below it. But take this in consideration, if you get a larger television, you can't move the feet inwards to fit on a smaller stand. On the right hand side, there's a Samsung logo, and there's a press button below to do some basic features like turning the TV off. And it comes with this solar charging remote control that's very tiny, and it doesn't have a number pad in case you want to go directly to TV channels. The Samsung Q60D has a stunning picture quality when it comes to overall color volume. I would say that it's not going to be as good as a mini LED or even an OLED, but it stands on its own being a mid-tier television. When you think about it, Samsung televisions are the most sold televisions in the world, so chances are that people looking at this television are loyal to the Samsung brand. This Q60D doesn't have local dimming zones, but what they use is called Supreme UHD dimming, and that helps out with some other technology called Mega Contrast to give you black levels. In my findings, if you have the brightness at a high volume and you watch black scenes, you're going to notice some of the backlight bleeds on some content. But as a reviewer, I like to show you these other demos before we get into the nitty-gritty. When you have 4K high bitrate content playing on it, it looks fantastic. According to some articles that I read, this TV has around 430 nits of peak brightness, so HDR content may appear to look a little bit darker than most televisions. Just keep in mind that you need to jump up to the Q70D or even get into the Samsung mini LEDs if you want a much brighter picture. And I know it's frustrating whenever you're watching HDR on some TVs and it's extremely dark. And if you're using the applications that are built in, there's no way to turn it off. So I recommend something like an Apple TV, Chromecast, Roku, where you can manually put it in SDR mode. So as you see here, I have it in SDR mode on this Apple TV. And if I want HDR, I just can enable it and then start using it. But if I don't, I can watch SDR content on anything that I play through the television. Speaking of SDR content, I want to show you a few clips from YouTube TV, and I can say that this TV has really good motion. So if you plan on watching sporting events, you're going to be very happy with the performance as long as you're using high bitrate content. And that means no IPTV or even antenna TV in some cases. And while we have the TV in SDR mode, I want to also show you the different picture profiles. Now for me, I like the movie mode, probably one of the best because it's more natural, but the filmmaker's mode is going to make the picture a lot darker. Next, I went to the Apple TV menu and switched it over to HDR10+. And here's some of the different picture profiles in HDR mode. And as you can see, the colors are much better in HDR mode and it brings out a lot more contrast. But keep in mind, the TV will get a little bit darker using this format. So that'll be up to you if you want to use this feature or not. And it brings out a lot more brightness using filmmaker's mode, which is very surprising to me. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that you choose the format that's going to work for you and give you the best picture quality for your particular eyes. But I will say that this TV has some really rich colors on it, especially with the dual backlights. So what does all this mean? I would say that if you have a Samsung television that's not a higher end television, I think you're going to be happy with this TV. Because for your movies, it's going to look good, but you might see a little bit of gray area. And for your TV shows, it's going to have really rich colors, great motion, and a decent picture. Next, we're going to do some tests on this television just to check out a few things, starting off with upscaling. First of all, starting off with 480p content, I think this TV looks perfectly fine. It's not grainy, I can see all the details in it. And I will say that Samsung has one of the best picture adjustments that I've seen on the market because you can go through these settings and you can crop out the picture and image with custom settings any way you like, so you can make sure that any content is stretched to fit your screen. Now if we jump over to 720p, this is going to be content that you're going to be watching on a daily basis, and I feel that the upscaling on this TV will do a great job for your everyday content. If you jump up to 1080p, it's definitely going to make it just a slight bit sharper. You're going to clean up some of the edges and the details, but the native rate of 4K is obviously going to give you the best picture quality, and that's going to be on services that I always mention, such as Amazon Prime, Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, just to name a few out there as far as applications to get the best picture quality. With the TV in movie mode, I feel that the skin tone is going to look very natural. As you can see, that everything is well balanced. And even when I calibrate this TV, I found that most of the points on this TV are pretty accurate right out of the box. As far as dirty screen effect, I do see a lot of spots that are a little bit blotchy in some areas. So as I said before, this TV is not perfect, but I feel for the average consumer who's watching everyday content, these are things you will not notice. This is just a test to see how well the screen actually performs. And since this TV is using a VA panel, blooming is nothing to worry about. When I played some different tests on it, I thought it looked perfectly fine. So you don't have to worry about any kind of halo effects when watching movie credits or any type of graphics on the screen. Next, we're going to get into the audio on this television, and it's 10 watts by 2. A lot of people like TV speakers, but keep in mind this TV is extremely thin, so that's not going to give you that full bass response. So I recommend you consider buying one of the Samsung soundbars to get the best experience.
This is a Tech Steve's audio test. For the next few moments, sit quietly and experience the range of this TV's audio capabilities as we test the boundaries of sound.
So as you can see, this TV does not have a robust audio system, but it has a lot of different controls inside of the menu where you can go in here and make all type of adjustments. It also does have a built-in equalizer so you can customize your sound. It also has some presets like amplified. So if you're looking for just audio speakers, there are at least some different configurations in here. But again, don't expect a big sound out of the TV speakers. I just want to put a quick note here that I'm testing out this new stereo microphone, and I will say that that demo that I played has more bass response than what you're going to experience in real life. But this TV does have a few features, like it has object tracking light, which basically moves the sound around the screen so you get a more of an immersive feeling whenever you're watching content. Now I did go over the full gaming experience on this television on the unboxing video, but I want to show you a little bit of gameplay on this particular video. And keep in mind, this TV does have a game bar, so you can make a lot of adjustments on it so you can maximize your gaming experience. For the average consumer, I think gaming will be fine for your PS5, PS5 Pro, or even the Xbox Series X. But keep in mind, it's not going to give you the max performance because at 60 frames per second, that's all you're going to get. So most games are still in that format, so I think you're going to be okay. Now, input lag was less than 10 milliseconds, so it's going to be pretty fast playing your content. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about on this portion of the video is your inputs. On the back of it, this TV has a USB, 3 HDMIs, and it has a TV tuner as well as built-in Wi-Fi. But notice that one of the inputs on the back of it sticks out from the TV. So if you mount it flush to the wall, you're only going to really have access to 2 of the inputs that are on the back of it. We talked about everything that you need to know about the Q60D, but I will tell you that the Q60 series takes you back to memory lane, and it reminds me of some videos that I made previously on this series of televisions. Ah, memory lane. Yeah, it takes me back when I started filming these type of videos, and you guys have really showed me a lot of love on this channel, and I do appreciate it. And since we've been expanding, there's going to be some great things coming down the road as we open up the second studio for other type of videos that has to do with technology. But there's a question that remains: is this television better than some of the previous models? Now, according to display specification, I did pull up a 55 of different series of this television, and it seems that they have the same processor, the same amount of inputs, and close to the same design. But what has changed is they have put better Wi-Fi configurations into it, as well as upgrading from Tizen 6.5 up to Tizen 8.0 that gives you a lot more interface capabilities. In my opinion, I think this Q60D is a great television for the money. After all, it does have a great picture quality, it does have vivid colors, and it does have a decent black level. But as a consumer, let's be honest, at the price point of this television being a retail of $799, another alternative television that you consider is going with the Hisense U7N. The U7N supports up to 144 Hz at the same price point, and it runs off of Google operating system that a lot of people like. And another alternative would be the 55-inch TCL QM7. The thing about the QM7, it will support up to 144 Hz as well. It runs off the Google operating system, and it's a fantastic looking TV. Once you get some calibration settings in it, I think you'll be happy. But at the end of the day, I like all three televisions, but a lot of people are going to buy Samsung over those other models because Samsung does have a history of reliable TVs, and they do have a history of having better customer service because, after all, they do make smartphones, appliances, and other devices here in the United States. So, in my opinion, that would be something you might want to take consideration before you run out and buy. We all know that Samsung can make their mid-range television a little bit more competitive at the market because being number one is a great thing, but you can only hold the crown for so long. I would say that I really like the QN90D, the 8K models that I got to see at the Samsung facilities earlier this year, and I think Samsung has some fantastic televisions. But when it comes to this price point, I think it's going to be a hard sell as the competitors like TCL, Hisense step up to the plate and really show what TVs could be at a lower price. I'm Tech Steve. If you're interested in learning more about any of these videos or products, I'll leave all the links in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.